Good afternoon, everyone. Could I get everybody's attention, please? There are plenty of seats right down here if anybody would like to venture forward. Well, thank you all for coming today to attend the first town hall of the new school year. I would like to start, I actually wouldn't like to start, but I think it would be appropriate to start today. You all saw the terribly tragic news earlier today. Jennifer Wall's untimely death. If Jennifer was still alive, she would be at the town hall. She always came to the town hall. She'd be sitting right down here by Noreen and Alina. So I thought it would be fitting if we take a moment or two and have a moment of silence for Jennifer and her family before we start. Thank you. So anyway, I wanted to start town hall by telling you the tides are turned. I took this picture. You all probably know where I took this picture, and you know how you always have to hide from our campus photographers because they always get you in these pictures? Well, if you look closely, I got Ryan. Tides are turned. He's not here today, but I got him right front and center in my picture. So today's town hall, I wanted to start by telling you I did listen. Remember on the town hall that we had in April, I think it was April 30th, we told you that we were going to be willing to look at town hall and to fine-tune it to better serve your purposes. So I did that. I read very carefully every input I got. We passed out questionnaires, and a lot of you filled those out. And what I learned was what people like about town hall. They like the major cross-campus discussions and updates. For some reason, they like the budget updates. They like legislative updates. They like my humor. That made my day. And people like to hear about Husky sports. What they didn't like was major campus updates, budget updates, legislative updates, and sports information. I thought it was interesting. Nobody said humor, but I think they thought I wouldn't think it was funny. That's a joke. So I also asked, what else would you like to see at town hall? And people said more faculty and staff and student activities, capital and construction updates. And of course, we'll do those when we have those. And more other areas around campus and better snacks. Well, that one was easy to take care of, so hopefully you noticed in the back of the room we do have cookies. So go back and get yourself a cookie if you haven't one. That's courtesy of Alina and our staff. Okay, who? And Angie. Did you bake those, Angie? No, okay, yeah. But anyway, we are going to try to provide better snacks for town hall. It's going to be hard to deal with the other things because they were a little bit conflicting, but I'll try to honor what you all said as I go through it today. So what I'm going to cover is I'm going to do as always, I'll give you a quick update of what's been going on in the Chancellor's office since the last town hall. And remember, that's the overall purpose of the town hall. It's the Chancellor's town hall to talk to you about what our office has been doing. Hopefully you know what your offices have been doing. I'm going to talk a little bit. There's not as many. We're starting to get steady state with respect to searches, which is good. I'm also going to talk about the campaign update. There's some really exciting news there. We're going to talk about the legislative update. I'll just spend a minute and talk about where we were last year and where we hope to be going this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget overview, but very little. And then I'm going to talk about where we are with respect to enrollment development on campus. And then to honor the request for learning about other areas, I picked out two areas. I had some help, but I picked out two areas we'd focus on today, and that's going to be the Office of Global Affairs and also the library, and I just have a slide or two to tell you a little bit of the highlights of what's going on in those two areas. And then you haven't been very good at asking questions, so I hope you're better today at asking questions, and I'll try to keep my presentation short enough that you'll have time to do so. So let's take off. First thing, I don't know how you could have possibly missed it, but since the last town hall, we had commencement. I don't know what you all think. I think it was a wonderful success. We graduated more students than we ever have before. 1,850 degrees were awarded on that day. Very exciting. We all, I think, probably Brianna as well, and probably Carl, were a little worried about the logistics, but I believe they worked pretty darn well. There was a little bit of issue of traffic getting into the Tacoma Dome, but that's kind of not our issue. That's the city and the state highway department. But it was really a good for everybody, especially our students. So also I have to thank all of you who took part. How many of you worked commencement? Look at that. 80% of the room worked commencement. That's fantastic. And we had pretty good faculty turnout too, but let me be first to invite you to this year's commencement, okay? We already have a date. So put it on your calendar. Monday, June 17th. It's unfortunately a little late. It's the latest it could possibly be. It can only get earlier now. It will go back to maybe the 10th next year, and it will be earlier for a while. But be there. There's going to be 2 ceremonies again. We're planning for that. We're making a few minor changes. We're going to talk about it in cabinet. But commencement is coming up again soon. It'll be here just like that. Okay, we had to say bye to a lot of people since we last met at Town Hall. We said bye to many student leaders and to all those 1,850 students. Some may have come to graduate school, but we said bye to our student leaders. We also had to say bye to our chief academic leader. The provost at the UW is the chief academic officer for all 3 campuses, and Jerry Baldesty retired after 41 years of service to the University of Washington. His entire professional career was at the University of Washington. So that was kind of sad, but you know, you got to move on and go to the next thing. So we've done that. We said bye to more cadets than we ever did before. We had a wonderful ceremony at the Y of the graduating class of this year's cadets, and I won't get the disciplines right. I know at least one of them's Army, but there were several disciplines represented, not disciplines, branches, right? Branches represented. But was this just Army? It was just Army. Okay, it was just Army. I was paying attention that day, but it's been a long time since then. But we also got the opportunity to say hello to all kinds of folks. You all recognize this slide because I stole this off of our webpage, but we have this great hello crew made up of our faculty and staff here at UW-Tacoma. It's called the Tacoma Pack Advisors, and I saw them all over campus this summer doing what they do best, saying hello and helping our new people adjust to this place. First of all, their main job is to help our students adjust, and we have all kinds of new students. We have freshmen, we have transfer students, we have students that are running START. We also have international students, which need some special orientation to our campus and our community, and we also have their families, which probably need more than any of the rest do of orientation to our campus. And we also had the opportunity to welcome a new chief academic officer, Mark Richards. Mark comes to us from Berkeley, where he's a space and atmospheric science professor, was previously the dean of the School of Science at Berkeley. He came to our campus secretly in about April, I think, maybe early May, before he actually had the job. He came for a couple of hours and told me, though, that he just wanted to kind of walk around quietly, so I honored that request. I've had the opportunity to sit in a couple meetings with him, to be at some events that he's been at. Here you can see I took his picture while he was talking at the football game, a nice academic event for us to be at. But he's a great guy. He has, I think, a heart for what we're doing here, and he's going to come to our campus on January 9th for an official visit, and we'll involve the faculty, staff, and students in that visit when it comes time. All right, we also said hello to over 20 new faculty. Hopefully some of them are in the room. It's great to have them on staff. And I was talking to Casey about which faculty retired, and she told me no faculty retired last year. So this tells me that we're growing our faculty at UW-Tacoma as well. Now, we might have had some faculty that take other jobs, but nobody retired last year. I think we have some retiring this year. But Kelly and I and the deans and directors had them at our house, and this is what we do for our new faculty. We feed them. That encourages them to stay here. This was a scary feast that we had. Anyway, we also welcomed some new community leaders. There were a lot of new community leaders in Tacoma this summer, and like any good neighbor, we reach out to them and invite them to our campus. We'll be partners with these folks a lot. Ivan Harold has been here since maybe the end of May, early June, but I immediately reached out, invited him to campus, and we put together a day to show him what we do here, because we have a lot of connections with TCC. Likewise, we had 2 new economic development directors in our community. First for Pierce County, Betty Capistani has joined the Pierce County Economic Development Team. We brought her to campus right away, showed her around, and gave her a personal tour. Likewise, our new City of Tacoma Economic Development person is Jeff Robinson, a longtime Tacoma resident, but was serving the city of SeaTac as their economic development person. He's now here in Tacoma. We showed him around, and then you know the partnership we have with Highline College. So when Highline College got a new president, John Mosby, we invited him to campus, and he spent almost the entire day on our campus. Was thrilled, really excited, and encouraged by what we're doing here, and we'll have a long-term relationship with that campus as well. Also, we did some celebrating and some recognizing since we last met. One of the events that I really like is our Husky 100. And the previous two classes, before this class, we had 8 Husky 100 people. If you count those, we had 11. And if you go actually calculate how many students are at the UW and how many students, there's 100 Husky 100, and take 11 divided by 100 and see what the proportion of really awesome students are per campus, our students are more awesome than the other 2 campuses. And now we have statistical information to prove that. So it's not just the individual student, too. I took this picture because I wanted to show you how far-reached our celebrations like this are. You know, the Husky 100 is way up in Seattle. Not a lot of us can go up there, but look at how important that was. You all recognize Youssef? Everybody know Youssef? He was involved in student government. I think he was president of the Muslim Student Association. He had his mom, his dad, his little brother who's thinking about coming here, 2 sisters, and I think these are cousins. And then, of course, Mentha and me photobombed the picture. But that's just one person. So those other 11 people, this celebration was purposeful. It really impacts a lot of our students and their families. A lot of these students first in their families to go to school. So we also celebrate our staff. And I was really excited when the Staff Association put in the new award this year for the Team Award. What's the title of it? The Team of the Year Award, 2018. And our teams that were nominated were so terrific, they actually gave 2 this year because there wasn't a room just to award 1. So the first one was the Office of Global Affairs, and the second one was our library. So now you see where I got the idea to concentrate on those 2 areas later in my presentation because those are the recipients of the Team of the Year Award for 2018. So more to come on those later. We also celebrate our faculty. In this room, last April, we had the spring celebration, and we not only celebrated the outstanding faculty teacher, who was Danica Miller, we celebrated the Outstanding Faculty Engagement Award and the Outstanding Distinguished Research Award, as well as honored our faculty that got promoted during the year. So this was a great celebration, and we're working on revising that celebration and see how we better celebrate our faculty this coming year. Danica, I wanted to mention too, when you get the Outstanding or the Distinguished Teacher Award at UW, you not only get celebrated here, but they take you to Seattle and they have a nice dinner, they have a nice presentation. You can see she's on the stage. I think is that Meany Hall? Anybody know? It's that great big, Josh, don't you know, is that Meany Hall? Yeah, he's shaking his head. It's a big event though, and then they have a dinner that night and a celebration, and they also take them to the football game. And I know because I saw Danica and her husband and her father at the football game earlier. So that's a cool award. I wish we could do it for all of these awardees. We also recognize and celebrate our administrators. This year we had a little bit of turnover in the senior administration, but we had a party at the Swiss. I mean, not a party. We had a celebration at the Swiss a couple weeks ago on September 17th, where we thanked and celebrated several of our outstanding campus leaders. I think Jill served for a year as interim Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. She had a year of taste of that and still went for the job and got it. So that was fantastic. And then when Jill took that job, it opened up her previous job, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Success. So I lost Bonnie, who was our inaugural Assistant Chancellor for Strategy and Assessment. I lost her, but gained her again when she took the job in Jill's office. And then Linda served 2 fantastic years as Assistant Chancellor for Community Engagement. We were very happy about that. And Deirdre, who's not in the picture, she wasn't able to come, served for a year as Interim Assistant Chancellor for Equity and Inclusion. So we had a celebration and thanked all of them. gave them these nice pictures of our campus, and that was great. That was the first day of the new quarter. And we also celebrate our retirees. This is Robert Crawford. You all know Robert Crawford. He's one of our founding faculty members. He's been retired for a couple of years, I believe. But he won for the entire UW the Outstanding Retiree Community Service. What was the word? It's on the sign there. Can you read it up at the top? I think it's Excellence in Community Service Award. So that was a pretty proud moment to have Danica on the stage, and following Danica was Robert Crawford. And also, it doesn't just happen with the students, it happens with our faculty. He brought quite a crowd up to Seattle to be there and recognize him as well. We also celebrate our alumni, and this is our 2018 Outstanding Alumni, Crystal Adolph, and boy, she got the memo on what to wear to the celebration. All the way down to look at her beautiful beaded bracelet. I was so envious of her bracelet. I've never seen one of those before. But she is a recent graduate who works at Muckleshoot School. She's a student counselor, and her award nomination was easy to select as our outstanding alumni this year. They're everywhere. We have over 22,000 of them now, and she was a very deserving recipient for this year's award. That was at the Paint the Park Purple. If you've never been to that, you should go. It's really, really fun. Also, we celebrated our donors. I apologize for the picture, but it was kind of dark in the room. This is at the UW, I always say gala, but a lot of times I get corrected. Gala? So you take your pick, gala or gala. This was at it. What'd you say?
Potato, potato.
Potato, potato. There you go. Thank you, John. I like that coming from John, who knows his stuff. So anyway, they have a gala every year, and they celebrate some of the prestigious donors to the university, and the laureates are those donors who have given more than $1 million. So it's really nice when we at UW-Tacoma have laureates, and we've had several since I've been here. This year we celebrated John and Buzz Folsom. They're back here behind my wife. You can't really see them in the dark. But they had a great time. I received a nice letter from them later thanking us for celebrating them. He serves, I believe, on the Urban Studies Advisory Board. Then Bob Dressel and his family, the husband of the late Melanie Dressel, you all know about that, gave us $1 million last summer for the Dressel Scholar Program. And the Ben Chaney Foundation, which is a Tacoma foundation here in our city, and all those were named laureates this year. Now, we're not going to forget about our other donors. We do have an event coming up soon on November 4th where we're going to honor all of our major donors at UW-Tacoma. We'll have that in the Tacoma Paper and Stationery Building. It'll be a nice afternoon affair. Not as gala-ish as that. That's actually in the, I call it the Harry Potter room, but I'm sure that's not the official room. The reading room in the Susalo Library, yeah, they transformed that into this great venue. Okay, we also celebrate our friends. And how many know this fellow? Is his name up there? Oh yeah, I got his name up there. But that's Bill Warehouser, a great friend of our campus, a philanthropist in town here. He's helped our campus financially on many occasions. He served on the search committee for chancellor when I came here. I've gone to him many times for advice, but he was named the Puget Sound Business Journal's Lifetime Achievement Award for directors of boards. So they had a nice event that night, and the crown of the evening is their Lifetime Achievement Award, and this year it was Bill Warehouser, a lifetime Tacomaan. Okay, now I did have to squeeze in just a little bit of sports, but I thought I would get more obscure sports. So I found out that the UW-Tacoma cross-country teams are one of only a few in the country who both men and women's teams are in the top 25. I think that's pretty cool. And I noticed when I went to go find out about them and learn more about them, the women's team is really weren't running. The men's team is talking about running. But that's pretty cool. I ran cross country, not because I was fast, because my wrestling coach made me run cross country. So anyway, and then I couldn't have this without telling you about the football team. Hopefully you all watched or have been watching UW football. It's been a great season so far with a couple little hard-to-take losses. We lost the first game of the season to Auburn, a big publicized game. We fought our way back, won 5 in a row after that, had moved back up to number 7, and then it happened. Overtime at Awesome Stadium against Oregon. You know how that goes for most people, and it went that way for us too. 27-30, so we dropped down to number 15. I still have hopes that we're going to win the Pac-12 North, so we'll get the final game to the Pac-12 championship and maybe get to the Rose Bowl or something. But that's football. Oh, and we got to look ahead. Can't always look in the past. We got to look ahead. This week, Colorado. Important to be there if you're not there. I think we have homecoming. Is that homecoming? Yes, homecoming. A lot of our students will be there. So, also, I was worried about doing personal stuff. And I actually took these next few slides out, and then it happened with Jennifer, and I thought, life is short. I'm going to show the campus a few things about my personal life, whether they like it or not. So hopefully you like this. So you all know I came from Montana, and 2 of my kids I left there. My daughter is studying at Montana State in Bozeman. She's in a master's degree in mental health counseling, and my son is back in Billings. He works for True Green, and he is the father of my only grandkid. And they haven't been back to Illinois to see Grandma, who's my mother, right here. She's 88, since Grandpa died, and since Kelly and I got married 5 years ago. Both of those things happened in the same year. So I swallowed hard and flew them all out, including their significant others and kids, to Illinois to see Grandma this summer. It was a great 3 days. A lot of cool things happened. But this is my daughter. This is my mom. This is my middle son. And these are my 3 hoodlum nephews. And I'm not sure who this person is that photobombed in the picture. We had a great time, but look what happened while we were there. Grandpa showed Ari how to fish, and he caught his first fish ever on my watch. He didn't fall in, so I was really excited about that. And then later in the summer, this is Ari's first day of school. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to that, but look at his style. His back patch matches his shoes. So anyway, it was a great summer. And while we're on the theme of families and travel, I thought I would show you a little bit more personal stuff. I am a real person too. I like to go to concerts. This is my first concert at the Gorge. How many have been to a concert at the Gorge? Wow, it is fun. And luckily, I wasn't getting too carried away, because as soon as I got there, I ran into one of our admissions counselors. So, yep. She recognized me right away and tapped me on the shoulder. And then I was getting a little carried away once the concert started, and I saw Mark Pendris and his wife, our faculty chair, behind me. So luckily, I behaved, but that was really fun. Also, it was my wife's 50th birthday and our 5th year anniversary, so I treated her to a trip of places. She's a travel nut, some places she's not been before that wanted to go. So we went to Iceland, Sweden, and Denmark, and I finally met my people. This is in Iceland. I felt so big by this guy. We hit it off right away, but then later in the summer, I had another experience that made me feel small. I don't know if you can see it, but right there in the center of the picture, that's me. Look at that tree. That's a Sitka spruce. How many have seen that tree? Yes, Elizabeth has seen it. Jill has seen it. It's only an hour and a half from here. It's over by the Quinault Lodge. It's the largest Sitka spruce tree in the world, right here in our backyard. So if you haven't been over there, go stand by it and have somebody take your picture. I've used this picture like with all my friends. I've sent it to everybody. It's really fun. All right, one more personal thing, and then we'll move on. So a lot of you know that I came from Illinois, and when I graduated college, my first job was in Chicago. So this summer, I had the chance to go to, I had the responsibility to go to the Urban Serving University Coalition meeting, which was in Chicago. So I was excited about going there. So I went. It was beautiful. There was a storm coming up, though. We had a reception out on a roof of a building. But I didn't really realize it, but the mayor sat at my table at lunch. He was the keynote. This is Rahm Emanuel, who used to be chief of staff for Obama. Very interesting. And when he talked about what he's doing in the city of Chicago for the whole thing, the whole city around education, it really encouraged me that we can do similar things in our smaller world here in Tacoma. So it was a great conference, but I kind of got sappy while I was there and wanted to go back in time. So I went to my old building where I worked. So when I graduated from college in 1979, my first job was in this building. I don't know if you can see it. It's 55 East Monroe Street downtown. It's a big high-rise. So I got kind of creepy and started stalking the place and went in. This is the elevator shaft. I went up every day. I was on the 30th floor for, I guess, 3 years I did that. But then I took it further. I got on the train out front and went to my O stop at the Jarvis station just north of Chicago, walked over to my street where my apartment was on, and then got really creepy, took pictures of the front of the apartment, and then actually went up to that was my window in my front door. And I did get caught. Somebody came out and asked me what I was doing, and I kind of explained my way around it. But here's the cool thing. So when I got back on the train and rode it into downtown and got off the train, this is what I saw. And I looked down there, and lo and behold, I used to see the Wrigley Tower when I'd get off the train, when I'd look down that way. Now there's a big building there. So enough said. So back to work. What have we been doing with respect to organizational changes and appointments? Well, we've had 3 fantastic appointments this summer. First of all, our Assistant Chancellor for Equity and Inclusion, James McShay, Dr. James McShay, came on June 6th. He's been here. Most of you have met him. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about him right now. We also had Assistant Chancellor of Strategy and Assessment open up. I explained a little bit about that. And we were lucky to convince Joe Lawless to come into that position. He was already working in the Chancellor's office on the Dressel Scholarships program. And then also, we were able to twist Ali's arm, Dr. Medeiros, and have him step in when Linda went back to the faculty and began to serve as our Assistant Chancellor for Community Engagement. 3 great additions to our senior staff on campus. I'm really excited about this. For James, I'm not going to, like I said, not going to talk too much about it because he had a nice article on the webpage for the past couple of days, and later in the fall, he'll probably come to you and in a forum like this and talk more about what's going to happen in equity and inclusion in the coming year, so I'm excited to hear more about that. Likewise, Joe, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about Joe. Most of you know Joe. He's been here for 11 years. He worked in the Milgard School leading the Center for Leadership and Social Responsibility. He was already in the Chancellor's office for a little bit, and we've recruited him full-time now. And Joe has already been at work, and in your seats is the Year 2 Strategic Plan update. And at the next town hall, which will be on November 20th, Joe will lead the majority of that town hall and tell you all the gooey details about what's happened with our Strategic Plan Coordinating Committee, our Strategic Impact Fund, and all those things in the strategic plan. So we'll look forward to Joe's presentation. And then Dr. Medeiros. What can I say about him? I love the article that was in the paper, The Man About Towns. Very fitting. I just kind of inherited Ali, but that's a good thing. Deborah, I believe, worked hard to attract him to our campus, and that's been a great asset to our campus, to urban studies, and now we're deploying that asset wider across all of our campus in community engagement. And I do have a slide about that. In fact, I have a couple slides about that because it's important. So I think I've already announced, but we have now opened an office. The office right now is Ali, but we've opened an office of community engagement with some plans for building it out during this year. So the plan would be that he reports to me for community-based things, but anything that has an academic component in it, he will work through Jill and the appropriate deans or directors in the schools for that particular faculty member so that we don't violate protocol. He will have some staff, about 1.5 for this first year, of FTE, of administrative, professional staff, clerical staff that can help him with that. We already have the community engagement. Dr. Isham put that together last spring. We had our first meeting in February, I think, so that's already engaged and moving forward. But then we have hopes of adding a lot of units that have been kind of out there on their own underneath this infrastructure. We would put a Center for Applied Urban Research, something that's been in the talking stage for quite a while, since before I got here. Our institutional type internships that we have on campus, coordinating those. Our legal pathways, the new program that was just approved by the state last year. Our youth initiatives, the Tacoma Ho Child Initiative, the AMP work that Professor Kelly is doing, those things, and again, our Carnegie classification work. Now, how is one person going to do all this? Well, he is going to do it through community-engaged faculty and staff fellows. He has some modest funding to provide some support for those who will help lead some of these initiatives down here. And then while we're doing all this, we are going to make sure that we collect data and impact as we move forward, especially for our Carnegie classification, but as we put resources to these areas. So I'm really excited about this initiative, so you'll hear more. We'll invite him back when this gets built out more. He'll be working with you as we put it all together. So the community engagement classification for Carnegie, I don't think we've talked about this at the campus level very much. I just wanted to tell you that it's very important. The other two campuses are going for it this year. It only comes open every 5 years. And our colleagues at Western Washington University, our colleagues at Washington State, at Gonzaga, many of the other institutions are designated Carnegie classification. So it's difficult for me to continue to lead this organization if we don't have that. So it is a lot of work. This is the team, this is about half the team that's been working on it. Linda and Lisa Izaki in the research office, Linda Isham, have been co-leading this group, but there's probably 10 other people intimately involved that aren't in the picture here. But that application has to be put in April 15th, 2019. Lisa is here, and I think I saw Linda as well. So pat them on the back, thank them for all their work and the other folks that are putting this together. And then tonight, to help me thank these three people, we have an event right in this room, 4:30 to 6, more refreshments. We've invited community members here, we've invited the campus, so come back tonight and thank these three people personally for stepping into these new roles. Okay, campaign update. Who knows what our campaign total goal was? What's that? Our original campaign goal. 45, yes. Our campaign goal was 45,000. Who knows what I was able to report last town hall? What did I say? 1,000? Oh. That was Josh's gift, 45,000. I got mixed up. Yeah. So last year at this time, I reported $31,843,333. But guess where we are now? I love this slide. Yeah. 47,888. So what do you think? We should have a party? No. No. Guess what we've done? We've stretched the goal. Yeah, we stretched the goal. Why not? We still have work to do. We were the first, or we were before the UW Seattle in reaching our goal. The president has just announced they made their goal of $5 billion last week, but we have made our goal 6 weeks ago. So we're the first to do that. We have a lot of work to do. We still have student scholarships to raise. We still have faculty support to raise. And we still have this new academic building, which I'm going to talk about in a minute too. So the academic building, we need additional support for that because our appetite for growth and for space is larger than the funds that we have to support these things. So that's all great news. So congratulations to everybody who worked on that. There were academic and community leaders, there were students, faculty, staff, their campaign chairs, Cal and Joanne Bamford, other people on the campaign committee, Jim and Carolyn Milgard, who have pledged, them and their foundations have pledged $7 million towards that new academic building, our advancement team who's doing all the behind-the-scenes work. So let's thank everybody for this first step. Now keep in mind, it's a step, it's not the end. The end game is the 55 now. Okay, legislative update. Just quickly remember last year, the UW asked for additional funding for compensation. It was funded in a temporary way. Also, we asked for support for our Legal Pathways Project, which we got, $200,000. We helped support the City of Federal Ways initiative to fund the partnership with Highline College, which we got. We originally had proposed 8, remember, and we got 5. But the City of Federal Way, for the first year, has stepped up and added $100,000 to the pot. So we have $600,000 for this inaugural year to get the place stood up and running, and progress is being made. We hope to have a soft launch maybe in January or about there. Likewise, We got our capital design money, $500,000, and we got some soil remediation money as well. So where does that leave us? What are we doing next? So what we're doing next, and I apologize for the slide, but I wanted to show you what actually got presented to the Board of Regents. I did this purposefully. And these were all the capital projects that were put forth this year by the UW campuses, and only 5 are being carried forward. But the Tacoma Academic Innovation Building is one of those 5 projects being put forward. It says, the numbers are right here, $50.5 million. We'll ask the state for 40. We'll get $10 million through philanthropy. There was $5 million in the design money they already gave us for a total project of $50.5. So this went through the Board of Regents in July, and it's already at the governor's office, and will be put before our legislature this spring. So we need everybody in the room behind us talking to your legislators about how important this is to the future growth of the campus. Now, we fully suspect that we can raise more than $10 million, and we got everybody in the room, all the faculty and staff, to help design the building. The building request was over $100 million because of the things we want, but we had to come back down to reality. What we can actually afford is more in the 50 or 60 if we can raise enough money building. So that all will start. That's the good news. The kind of not so good news is this $40 million that we're asking for the state is in 2 pieces, $4 million in the first biennium, and then the next biennium, 36 more. But it's great that it's there, and we can lobby for it and hopefully get it. Okay? Likewise, I wanted to put exactly what went to the Board of Regents in terms of operating request. So this is the state operating request that was put before the Board of Regents 5 weeks ago. You can see that the UW is asking for that temporary compensation money to be permanently funded. That would be $12 million. Then they're asking for a big chunk of new infused money into the system to pay those salaries going forward. Because remember, when they give us 2%, or they give us 1% actually, and authorize 2%, where does that extra 1% come out of? It comes out of the other things we do. So the UW is doing something very strategic and asking the state to step up to the plate, and let's fully fund at least 2 years worth of 4% to our faculty and staff. So anyway, I don't know how that will go, but we'll certainly get behind that. But then I wanted to specifically show you this. They're asking for new operating money, so this is new program-specific money that's not tied to compensation or anything. This would be new into our coffers for the purposes of adding a couple programs. Civil and mechanical engineering at the tone of $1.8 million, spread over a couple years, but then it would go up to $1.8 million and be permanent from that point forward. So that's all exciting. So that's what we got on the docket this year, so there's plenty to ask our legislators to fund this year. Okay, our financial picture, I'm going to send a message out later in this week that will have details about the budget, so I'm not going to concentrate on now. I'm just going to show you 2 slides. This is the first slide. This is a slide I showed you last year. And I kind of get tired of harping on this, but I have, ever since I've been here, that we're doing this crossover where our income is not equal to our outlay of cash on a per student basis. But we've hired a new Vice Chancellor for Finance Administration. We've hired a new Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. We have very good staff in the back that are helping put all this together, and we're going to reformulate the budget from the ground up, and we're going to have a budget model that looks like this. And we're really close right now. So I'll be sending out a message later this week, and the idea is to keep this income that we get per student, it's tuition and allocation from the state, above what we have to spend. So we have breathing room. So we have flexibility to do some new things. So that's the goal, and we're really close. This is designed to be 4%, but because of the volume of requests that came forward for last year's budget, we're actually about 3.9 this fall, give or take 0.1 or so, but I'll be telling you all about that in a budget message later this week. Okay, enrollment growth. I knew something was up. How many of you went to convocation? Yes, that's very good because we redesigned it and a lot more people came. So I was wondering, with all of those students there, what our numbers are going to be this fall. Are we going to have room for all these people and all this excitement? And the answer is yes. They're all here, I guess, and they're fitting in here. But our numbers are pretty cool. 53, 56. So, and they've paid their fees, right? So they can't leave us now? I'm just kidding you guys. 53, 56. So we did go up 3.7%. That's good news. That's kind of what we were planning for. And the characteristics of these students is fantastic. It's much like we had before, 15 and 85 in the breakdown between graduate. No big changes there. Our female population continues to outpace our male population by a few percent. Our amount of students from South King County and from Pierce County remains really strong, over 80%. I don't have our statewide number, but I assume it's probably over 90, probably 93 or 4. International held strong at 5%, and our diversity statistics are very strong as well. And not a whole lot of change in our breakdown in the academic areas. Joe sent out this report today. You can read the details, but it's all good news. All right, before we finish up, highlights. 2 areas. First, OGA. I've been really pleased. This is kind of a new office. It's only about 2 years old. If you recall, we kind of combined several different organizations and put them into one organization 2 years ago. And Lisa Hoffman was the interim director until we had a national search, or an internal search, I believe, and Jeff was named. He's done an excellent job. One of his first things he did was recruited staff in those areas where there were no staff, and he's designed this organizational structure around international student support. We have a Connie and Amber in that area. We have a program coordinator, and then we have our student fellowships and study abroad. I'm going to show you some details in a second. You're going to be very impressed. We have Courtney as a study abroad manager. I believe she's on maternity leave. That's why we have an interim study abroad manager at this time. But let me tell you just a couple things that are going on in that office. First of all, they've redesigned the international student orientation, which is very important. Our international students, when they get here, need a lot of orientation to what we do, how we do things on this campus, especially if they went to a 2-year campus. So they've redesigned that. They've put in place a global ambassadors program to give our students, if they can't do study abroad, an opportunity to learn more about other cultures and things. It's a great new program. They've also, look at this, 66% increase in the number of our students who were able to study abroad this year. And the good news about that is the demographics of those 66%. See, now it was 89, 148. The demographics of this larger group is very similar to the demographics of the original group. So that tells us that they're working really hard to make it affordable, to bring in resources to allow all of our students who want to go on a study abroad to do so. We have a long way to go, so thank you, Jeff, for continuing to work on that. Likewise, we continue to have more institutional partners. This year, we've signed MOUs with 6 different organizations or institutions around the world in different cities. This is very exciting, and many of you know more about these individual partnerships than I do because they're designed around faculty interest and student and exchanges and things like that. And then we also, exciting thing in Office of Global Affairs is they did receive one of the Charting Our Course SIFs, Strategic Impact Fund grants a year ago, and that's able to fund additional COIL fellows. So that's all good news. And then lastly, but not least, 2 of our faculty are going on Fulbright fellowships this coming year. Mary to the University of North Bengal in India, and then Jan to a Canadian school in, I think, Calgary, University of Calgary. So this is all exciting news. Thank you very much, Jeff. He's right back there, so thank him as you go out the door. And then the library. Well, anytime you have an organization that's doing really good things, you probably have a leader of that organization that's doing really good things, and that's the case with our library. We have Lauren Presley, who joined us about 3 years ago now from Virginia Tech. I don't know if she's a Hokie or not. I don't think you are a Hokie, are you? Okay, Husky, that just temporarily went to the Hokies. Yeah. So that's even better, but she was at Virginia Tech. We recruited her, and I say we, I didn't have a whole lot to do it, but I interviewed her. We were very thrilled. She is the president of the Association of College Research Libraries this coming year. I hope I got the dates right, Lauren. So that's good news. That's why our library is doing such great things. We have wonderful staff in the library. They have a new blog. If you haven't read the library blog, go read the library blog. You can read the details of all these things. Likewise, they just had an open access week, hosting a number of exciting activities for our students and faculty and staff. Another thing is the Tinker Space, and I'm not going to tell you the details because I don't know the details, but they're going to announce shortly. This is an activity that many college campuses around the country are having. It's going to be especially useful for our students who are in design, urban design, or in the Milgard School or one of our engineering schools. Having a Tinker Space is what students demand now, and she's involved in helping us do that. A Learning Commons, it's been on the agenda for several years, and we're getting closer to realizing that now. And soon you'll be hearing about some plans to hopefully expand and have a Learning Commons on our campus. And then also the difficult things. You know, when we have openings, oftentimes we think we need to research for that same person, that same type of person we had before. Lauren has pushed the library staff to think broader, think outside the box, and redesign those positions, make sure the positions that are open are deployed precisely and strategically to recruit the kind of individuals that we need. And so far this year, we've made 2 new great hires. Marissa Pitrich, I don't know if I'm saying that right, as the instructional design librarian, and Alina Bull as the first-year experience librarian. And then we have another search underway. And lastly, we're extending the library hours in our budget. We added a half of a person to the library and a half a person to IT to accommodate the expanded schedule that we have now, and they're hiring for that, and we'll have those hours shortly. So, one last slide, and then I'll be done, is since I've been here, I've really wanted to get our campus more visibility in those national organizations that have to do with community engagement, such as the Washington Campus Compact, the Engagement Scholarship Consortium, the Urban Serving Universities Coalition. So I've worked really hard and tried to lead by example in getting our faculty and staff to attend these meetings and present papers. So we've gone every year to the Engagement Scholarship Conference, first to Penn State in 2015, to Omaha in 2016, and to Alabama Birmingham in 2017. Well, we just got back from Minnesota, and we had a presentation. Eugene, Chris Beasley, Lisa, and also Rachel. Rachel couldn't go, but put her part of the presentation on video. It was very successful, standing room only, and they talked about our campus's goals and strategies and work success in moving our campus so that it accounts for and rewards public scholarship in addition to traditional research and publication. Great presentation. They did a good job, so thank them if you see them. Likewise, hot off the press, on Friday, I was extremely proud. My first time in Pullman, first time in Pullman, I can't say that. Pullman, we are members of the Washington Campus Compact. They had their food security conference in Pullman this year, and our faculty and staff put together a presentation. Christine was kind of the lead, but she had help with James, Nedra, and Sequoia, a student who works in the pantry, and they did a bang-up job. It was standing room only. They had 4 breakout sessions, but half of the conference was in our breakout session, which made me kind of proud. And then after the session, I don't know what they did, but I went over and got cheese and ice cream at the creamery, because I heard you're supposed to do that. And that was a great experience, too. So, I am done, except to tell you that we now have the combined fund drive going on. How many know about that? It's hard not to with all the emails, but those emails are for a good thing. So we have Joel and Colleen Carmine, who's in the audience somewhere, leading that. They're the team that kind of leads that this year. And in the chancellor's office, we get the privilege of having the trophy. And the trophy so far has 10 places where it's resided over the past 10 years. Only 4 of those are Tacoma. 6 are Bothell. We have room for about 5 more here, and what would we like, Colleen and Joe? We would like all 5 of those to be Tacoma. But we need your help, not just because we're competitive, because we're really not very competitive, but because these funds go to a very good cause. So they've brought their jars. They've encouraged you to give online, but I promise I would set the example. So Joel, here's my change, everything I could get out of my drawer. I'm going to put that in the jar for me. There's my change. And I'll give online too. So they want you to do the same, okay? So let's thank Joel and Colleen. Okay, there was a 100-mile-an-hour overview of everything we've been doing, including my personal life. So now we have time for questions. Any questions? Yes, sir. Oh, I think you'd better wait for the microphone.
Hi, I'm Richard Lovering. I'm an Access student. There were 2 things that I thought might be germane to the campus. One was that Indivisible Tacoma registered students to vote with the assistance of Sarah Hampson, who did a great job, and we got 150 registrations. I might add that students have but to check a box on their registration to become registered to vote, but failed to do so, I suppose, either by oversight and occasionally we had a hard sell. So my suggestion is that before the election, we have 5 minutes in class to tell people, look, educated people vote. And it's very good to be politically engaged for whatever cause. And the other is this, that the mothership up in Seattle has recruiting fairs, and they get in the heavy hitters. They get in the Fortune 100. I went to an engineering recruitment fair, not that I'm looking for a job, mind you, or even that I'm much of an engineer, although I am one, but rather that I requested that it be shown in our event calendar so people in the engineering programs can get a heads up. Here, when they look at the events on our campus, they say, oh, well, here's a very big recruiting fair going on in Seattle. It might be worth your while to go up and have a look. It didn't get posted. And in about a week's time, there's a computer science one coming up in Seattle, and I suspect it will be of equal magnitude. So my suggestion is that with engineering programs being implemented here, we keep a weather eye to the mothership and see who they're getting on campus, because it might be useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. And everybody take note of that. Encourage your students to sign up to vote. We need their vote. Other questions or comments? See, if you guys would ask more questions, I wouldn't put so many slides up. It's your responsibility as a UW Tacoman to come with questions or comments so we can have some dialogue. Students, any questions? You're all, how's the semester going or quarter going? It's school, okay. Anything else? Well, enjoy the cookies, enjoy the coffee, and we'll see you on November 20th, and we'll talk about the strategic plan. Thank you all for coming.